We come now to the 10-minute rule motion. Preet Kaur Gill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to require landlords to provide accounts of management charges payable under Section 19 of the Leasehold Reform Act 1967 to freehold property owners and for connected purposes. These payable management charges are usually known as estate management schemes. Estate management schemes, as the name suggests, allows a landlord or scheme manager to collect money in relation to the retention of some degree of management control on the land that had been sold to the leaseholders. This often also includes control over amenities and common areas related to the freehold dwelling houses. The rationale of the original legislation was to allow the landlord to collect, retain and spend the fees for the general good of the area. In my own constituency, I have Calthorpe's Edgbaston estate, an estate covering a 2.5 square mile area. I read directly from Calthorpe's website. It states, "We introduced the scheme of management under Section 19 of the Leasehold Reform Act 1967 to ensure that the original character of individual properties and the uniqueness of our residential developments are retained. Under the scheme, it places obligations on freehold occupiers to ensure they adhere to a number of requirements. Section 19 of the 1967 Act means that freehold occupiers must adhere to a range of requirements by virtue of the scheme of management. For Calthorpe estate residents, these can range from not building without permission to not hanging or laying out washing to dry on Sundays. So there are the obligations on freeholders, but Section 19 does not contain any obligations on the landlord, and that is why today I have brought this 10-minute rule bill forward. As it stands, the management scheme is only enforceable by landlords. Freeholders of individual dwellings have no right to know where their money is being spent, and these residents have no rights of redress, and they have no rights to enforce action when breaches of the scheme occur. We need transparency for residents to be able to hold their landlord or scheme manager to account. This bill would put in legislation a requirement for the landlord or scheme manager to provide transparent accounts outlining the management charges received and the nature of the expenditure. The Government have spoken at length about legislating to give freeholders the same rights as leaseholders when it comes to service charges. I quote from one of their letters I received from the Minister of Housing and Homelessness, the member for South Derbyshire, regarding this issue, and she says, "I believe very strongly that service charges should be transparent, communicated effectively, and that there should be a clear route to redress or challenge if things go wrong." Madam Deputy Speaker, I just want to be clear. These management charges that this bill pertains to apply to freeholders and are distinct from service charges. I am asking that the fees related to estate management schemes are not forgotten. It is clear to me that in its current form, the balance of power is not fair and nor is it appropriate. Management companies can, by law, use enforcement agents to collect the management charges, but individual dwelling freeholders are unable to even obtain details of where the money they've been charged goes to or has gone. I would like to thank the Calthorpe Resident Society for their work on this, and I know that they and others around the country who face similar predicaments as a result of their management schemes have made repeated representations to their landlords asking for an account of the expenditure to see how the management fee that they pay is being spent. To date, no accounts have been made available for the Calthorpe residents, and this means residents have no way of knowing how their annual fees are being spent by the landlords or scheme managers in maintaining a high quality across the estate. Residents who own their own homes as freeholders are left feeling helpless as they try to find out how much is left in the scheme, and they are rightly aggrieved that despite their payment into the said fund, the opaqueness of it makes them powerless to try and enforce the responsibilities of the landlord or management scheme manager. Today, I ask the Government to strengthen the legal position of all freeholders to ensure that they have the right to know how the money they must pay to the landlord or scheme manager under Section 19 of the Leasehold Reform Act 1967 is being spent. Thank you.
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as that opinion say aye. Of the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Jack Dromey, Kate Osamel, Helen Goodman, Joe Platt, Maria Caulfield, Ruth George, Caroline Lucas, Virendra Sharma, Jeremy Lefroy, Hugh Merriman, Kevin Hollerake, and myself.
Preet Kaur Gill.
Freehold Properties Management Charges Bill.
Second reading what day?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.